We are just under 2 hours away from tip-off of game number 4. Knicks Pacers in Indiana. Knicks cut it to a 2-1 series lead for Indiana with a wild win in game 3. A whole lot to talk about there, and a whole lot to talk about going forward here into game 4. Crucial game 4 for both these teams, really. The Knicks got the momentum back on their side. They feel like now they could make a run here and tie this thing up and send it back to New York. All level at 2, making it a best-of-3 series. The Pacers looking to take a stranglehold 3-1 series lead, go back to New York looking to close it out and win an Eastern Conference championship and head to the finals. And listen, a whole lot going on here right off the bat. Let's start with the injury front. Naismith he's questionable. I would put him almost at doubtful at this point, to be honest with you, because it's been questionable game time decision all day. And listen, I think he's probably going to try and go. He's probably going to try and give it a go. He's not going to be out. He won't be ruled out, but I don't know how much he could give you. And that's a huge piece of Indiana. I mean, you could look at game 1, obviously. Obviously, he was the difference in game 1, right? He had a historical 3-minute stretch at the end of the game where he hit 7 threes and he took the game over and he was just unconscious shooting the basketball. But he's also a big player on that team defensively. He scores them a good 12 to 15 points a game. And now, listen, the Pacers go deep in their bench. They have people that can replace Naismith. But Naismith is a big piece, and it could be a crucial decision in this game as to whether he's going to play. I imagine what I think is going to happen is I think Carlisle is going to start Naismith, and he's going to judge it and take the temperature of how he is, and I don't think he's going to go very long, to be honest with you. I think his ankle is bothering him. He is at the shoot around, from what I understand. He's shooting around before the game right now, pregame, and he's hobbling on it. It's gonna, and if he can't play defense and he can't get back and he can't run, the Pacers run a fast-paced offense up and down the court, and if he can't hang with them and stay with that tempo that they run, then he's no good to the Pacers, and he's gonna have to come out. And he's not gonna play, and that's what I suspect is gonna happen. And the Knicks can take advantage of that, and they're gonna have to. And listen, the Knicks, there's a whole lot going on with the Knicks. Do they go with the original starting lineup that they've had, basically the 5 players that they've had play the entire season? Or do you have Josh Hart start from the bench again? Word came out just the other day that the Josh Hart was the one that went to Thibodeau and suggested, maybe we'd be better starting big with Towns and Robinson on the court. In the front court, go big, rim protect, maybe prevent these explosions offensively that these opposing teams are having against the Knicks in the first, quarters of games. And I'll start on the bench. And did it work? It didn't really work, right? Because if you look at the first half of that game, it was a nightmare for the Knicks in every possible way. They were dead. They were dead and buried. The Pacers were kicking dirt on them mid-second quarter. And that was with the with the new lineup with Mitchell Robinson in there. So we'll see what Thibs decides to do today. I don't know if it really matters. I think you got to get Robinson minutes. I think that's important. But I think you got to get him. You can't overplay Robinson, right? He's not the most athletic guy. You could see him, laboring after a couple minutes. He'll give you a solid 5 minutes a quarter. But after that, he starts to labor it, and it becomes fairly obvious. He tires. He's not as good. He's not as fast. He's not as powerful around the rim, which is what you want to get out of Mitchell Robinson. And he'll give you a fantastic 5 minutes a quarter. He'll give you a fantastic 15 to 20 minutes a game if you need him for that. But if you start pushing it, you see the decline in his play. So we'll see what Thibs decides to do there. Listen, tonight's a big game. I think the Knicks need this one. I think they have to go back 2-2. I think you have to make it a best-of-3 series. As bad as they've played at Madison Square Garden, I still love the fact that you have Game 7 in your back pocket if you're the Knicks, because as bad as they played, you want a Game 7 on your home court in front of your fans at your building. Sometimes I think the Knicks kind of read into the Garden a little too much, and it's kind of a little too much for them. And I also think you get, when teams come into the Garden, whether it be the playoffs or the regular season, either one, they step it up a notch. And sometimes the Knicks, it's too much for the Knicks, and they just don't play well. I think they might put too much pressure on themselves. I think it's good for this team. They're not really a boisterous group, where they're making noise and they're giving interviews and they're screaming. They're not that. They're more of the Villanova guys. At least they're somewhat shy. Brunson's a shy kind of guy. Towns is quiet. They let their play speak for them, and they're not really. They're not on page 6. They're not out in the town. It's not a bad thing, but they're just not those kind of guys. They're not the '86 Mets. If you can say that. But listen, tonight it's a fascinating game tonight, and it's amazing because in a series with two teams who stink on playing defense, it's going to come down to who plays better defense is going to win this series. That's what it's going to be. Listen, they both had collapses in Game 1 for the Knicks and Game 3 for the Pacers. Just epic collapses. The Knicks have come back from 20 points now 3 times in the last 2 weeks. The last 7 games. It's the first team in history to come back 3 20-point deficits in the single postseason to win the games. And I think it's going to come down to defense. And that was the difference the other night. Thibodeau, he got sick of it. He got sick of this team not playing defense. He just basically was like, I got to do something. I'm throwing out, Wright and Shamet, and let's see what they got. They're on the bench. They're on the team. They're available to me. Go out there and show me what you got. And you know what? You know what they got? They got 12 good minutes, 12 to 13 good minutes out of both of them. And that's a high-stakes gamble by Thibodeau. High-stakes gamble. Because if that doesn't work, and it goes south with them on the court and Brunson on the bench and Hart on the bench for a little bit of that, and OG on the bench, it's going to be hell to pay for Thibodeau. Now, he likes to roll the dice sometimes. He does. But a lot of times it's brainless stuff, like having your starters in up 35 points again in a playoff game, clincher against the Celtics. That's mindless. There's no upside to this. He basically got sick of Brunson, who was at 5 fouls, was sitting on the bench. He got sick of, he needed either one of Karl Anthony Towns or Brunson on the floor, right? Because you need somebody to score the basketball. And they needed to come back. They were still kind of scratching and clawing their way back at this time. They was maybe an 8 to 10 point game. So you got to have one of your 2 big scorers on the floor. He decided I'm going with Towns because he's got 4 fouls, and I think he might be a better scorer. And he seemed hot, and he left Brunson on the bench with 5 fouls. Now Brunson put up a stinker the other night. That's important. It's important that the Knicks were able to overcome that now twice in this series. They lifted their play with Brunson on the bench, and we'll get to that in a second. But he decided to throw caution to the wind. Let me put these 2 guys out there, Shamet and Wright, and show me what you got. You're on this team for a reason. You collected a paycheck. Get out there and let's see what you got, because I don't have any other answers. And you know what? They played good defense. They got a bucket. They forced a couple turnovers. You had McBride, who went out there and hit some big shots, played some big minutes. And this was so anti-Thibodeau that it boggles the mind that you were watching. When you were watching it, you're like, what am I watching? The Knicks are 9 deep in their bench, 3, 4, sometimes 4 of the 5 guys on the court, sometimes 3 of the 5 guys on the court in crucial playoff minutes in a Game 3 must-have. And you got your bench guys on the court, and you got Brunson on the bench. And you know what? It worked. It worked. He gambled and he hit, and it paid $1 million for him. It turned out it made him look brilliant. Listen, he was either going to look brilliant or he was going to look terrible and have to answer a million questions about what are you doing in crunch time in a playoff game with Landry Shamet and Dylan Wright on the court and Brunson on the bench and OG on the bench. And OG played well. OG had a good game, but they can't get him shots at the late. OG is a good player. And when he gets hot, he hits big shots. And he's a body and he's a force out there. But the Knicks can't get him the ball. He barely touches it in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, listen, tonight, does Thibodeau go back to that? I don't know if he does. To be honest with you, to me, that seems like a one-off. You don't want to play with fire and test fate because there's a reason why we're all shocked that Shamet and Wright are in the game, right? There's a reason why they don't play very often and they, a handful of times in a couple months that they're on the court. And it's usually garbage time. Because when you see them in small spurts, they can give you something good, and they did the other night. But when you see them over, when they start giving you serious minutes and stuff like that, you see why they don't play very often. That's what's going to happen. And I think he knows that. I think Thibodeau is smart enough to know that he don't go to the well too many times because you're going to end up paying for it. Now, listen, Brunson, 2 of the 3 games in this series was on the bench when the Knicks played some of their best basketball this series. And that's, of course, sparked questions. I think it's going to motivate Brunson, and I think he has a big game tonight. I do. I think he has a big game tonight. I think he comes out. He's got that confidence and that aura about him where he's the leader. I think it probably bothers him a little bit. That not that it bothers him that he's not the guy that got the team to win. I think it bothers him a little bit that he was on the bench, that he wasn't leading the team back. Even though he was in there at the end, he hit some crucial free throws. He had a big 3. But I think it bothers him, and I think that kind of thing is going to motivate him. And I expect a big game out of Brunson. Now, listen, he's got to stay out of foul trouble. You can't have 3 fouls in the first quarter if you're Brunson. You can't do it. I don't know. And he knows it. He knows it because if you listen to the interviews he gives, he sits there and he will tell you that he knows that he needs to stay out of foul trouble. Listen, give up the bucket. I mean, he had a foul that was 25 feet away from the ball in the first quarter. You can't have that if you're Jalen Brunson. We get it. Stop trying to prove your defensive ability. You're not a good defender. It's not going to change. We're okay with it. We can't have you having those fouls, those dumb, brainless fouls away from the ball or even a reach in as the guy's driving down the lane. Listen, give up the 2 points. We're cool with it. You can totally live with giving up those 2 points because it's either going to be give up those 2 points or you have a stupid foul and you're sitting for 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. And we will gladly trade the 2 points for the 5 minutes of having you on the floor. Now, Towns obviously took the game over in the fourth quarter. 20 points, 20 of his 24 points in that quarter, led the Knicks. It was his moment as a Knick, his moment of becoming a New York Knick. That's his signature moment now, was that fourth quarter. Now, can he build off it? He's the kind of guy that when he gets hot, he can't be stopped. He's driving in the lane. He looks like, in some of those plays, if you look at some of those plays, he looks like a running back running with the football through the lane, just throwing his arms, and he puts it up, and nobody can stop him. And then in the very next breath, he can hit a 3 from 4 feet, 5 feet behind the 3-point line. That's what makes him special. That's what makes him such an odd player. He's a 7-footer too. So is he going to be able to stay hot? Can he string that together with another game like that? I don't know. Because he hasn't really done it like that. But when he gets going, listen, that's what the Knicks traded for. That's what the Knicks fans were so ecstatic when they got him over the summer. And OG is kind of you're in the dark guy, right? You haven't mentioned OG much this series. He's had a solid series. He scored 16 points, 3 blocks, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal in the last game. It marks his 8th career playoff game with 15-plus points and 2-plus blocks. That's a key player. That's a big player in big-time moments and big-time spots. The Knicks got to get OG the ball. Let him do his thing. You have a three-headed monster. You have a three-headed monster going when you get Brunson, who is playing well, distributing the ball, not isolating himself, playing a one-man offensive team. When you have Towns getting red hot like he got, and you have OG doing what he did, it's a three-headed monster, and you got to use all 3 heads of it. Got to get them the ball. Josh Hart, another one. Listen, Josh Hart went to Thibodeau, said maybe I should start on the bench. People made a big deal about him, the benching of Josh Hart, him starting on the bench. I don't think it's a big deal. And to be honest with you, it didn't work. Right? Because what happened? They started him. They put out this new lineup. It was a whole big thing. And bam, you're down 20 points in the second quarter. And your season is hanging by a thread. So let's not act like they won the game with that lineup, okay? The starters, the 5 starters that have played every minute, basically, of this season, were on the floor in crunch time in the fourth quarter when the Knicks won the game. Those are going to be your guys that you're going to make it or break it with. You might have a Shamet play a big spot in a big game, or even a Wright, or a Miles McBride, who was fantastic. Miles McBride and Josh Hart, but it's going to be Josh Hart. Josh Hart's the engine of this team. And they aren't going to win without him. So you need him on the court. And like I said with Robinson, you see the decline after 5 minutes of him in the game. You could just physically see it. You could know nothing about basketball. You could watch the game, and you could say, this guy is not what he was 5 minutes ago. And he'll give you a great 5 minutes, an important 5 minutes in each quarter. He'll give you a solid 15 to 20 minutes a game. But that's it. After that, you're pushing it with Mitchell Robinson. And you don't want to push it because these games are going to be close. Listen, Halliburton's a pain in the ass every night. He just is. Halliburton's always there. He's always scoring. He's kind of like a Brunson type of player. And Siakam is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. And Naismith is there. Now, that's where this injury is going to come into play. Because if Naismith can't go, and I don't think he's going to be able to go at anywhere near 100%. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not there. I'm only reading things and seeing clips here and there. So I don't know. But to me, the way they've been talking about it, the way Indiana's been approaching the questions, and the way they've been just questionable game time decision, I don't think he's I think it's going to be very touch and go with Naismith. And like I said, Halliburton's going to get his. He's going to get his. He's a pain in the ass. He's going to score his points. He's going to get big points. He's going to play well. Brunson can't guard him. Brunson can't guard anybody. They're going to run with the basketball. I mean, you can't let them run and run these fast breaks where, they ran a couple to perfection with the ball, and they got the ball they're under their own hoop, and it went 90 feet, never touched the ground. Alley-oop dunk. It's a beautiful thing to watch. It really is. When basketball is played like that way. Everybody touches the ball never touches the ground. It's in the hoop 90 feet away. But you can't let that happen if you're the Knicks. And Josh Hart's got to pick his spots when he's going to go after the boards on the offensive rebound. He's got to pick his spots because if he goes and he misses, then somebody's running free down the court, and you're going to have those easy points. Cat, Brunson, stay out of foul trouble in the first half. Listen, keep this thing close in the first half. You can't fall behind. You're playing with fire if you're going to be falling behind 20 points again. I get it. They've come back every time. They've answered every single bell when they were down big in these games. It is not eventually they are going to run out of luck, and they are not going to win one of these games when they're coming back. It's just the law of averages. It's just there's a reason why they're the first team to do it. And they're trying to become the first team ever to come back from an 0-2 hole, losing the first 2 games at home. They took a step forward towards that in game 3. They'll take a big step if they could even this thing up tonight in game 4. I'm sticking with Knicks in 7. I think the unsung hero tonight, and he's not really so an under the radar guy. I think it's OG. I think Anunoby has a big game. I think Brunson has a big game. I think the Knicks play great on the road. They're just better on the road. They just are. I don't have the explanation other than that. I just think they get caught up in it, and it's all a little too much for them at the Garden. But I have nothing to support that, except the fact that they're 6-1 on the road this playoffs. Indiana's not a great home team. This series is going back and forth. This series has a lot of twists and turns left in it, folks. We are not done. Even after tonight, I'm not sure we're going to be done. This series has a couple twists and turns that none of us see coming. I mean, how much fun is this, right? How much fun? We forgot how much fun Knicks Pacers was, right? Knicks Pacers, Knicks Heat. There are certain series, it's certain teams that it doesn't matter what decade they're played in, who's on the teams, they're just great series. And Knicks Pacers is one of those. It just is. I mean, this has been a fantastic series. It's you got historic collapses by both teams. Historic individual performances late in fourth quarters by players on both teams. But I think the answer of what's going to be the difference in this series, I think the answer is simple, and I think it's 2 teams that stink on defense. I think whoever stinks less on defense is going to win the series. And we'll see if the Knicks can get it to a 3-game series, best of 3, back at Madison Square Garden, and it'll be rocking. I think they win. I think they're in real good shape if they win the series. I think they're in deep, deep trouble if they lose tonight. Big, big game. About an hour from tip in Indiana. It's the Knicks. It's the Pacers. It's game 4. It's on TNT. It's all of ours. And it's at 8:10. It's going to be fun, folks. From the Brian Gunzel Studios, I'm Bob Walters. See ya.